excited to introduce this All-Australian battle. Some of the former surfers of the event so far meeting in this first heat, Pete, looking for a spot in the quarters. Jack Freestone, Julian Wilson, and Owen Wright. Who wins?
So straight away, put me on the spot, huh? Well, give you a little bit to digest. I'm not going to answer that, Ronnie. I'm going to let a little bit unfold.
Getting one of the probably the most memorable wins of his championship tour career so far, and it's going to be Jack Freestone up nice and early on this one. Bit of bump on the face, no problem for Freestone. A huge first turn, and he hangs on after falling out of the sky. Let's see if he can add some extras on the inside here. A tricky wall to work with, and he goes down. So have a look at this first move.
Well, and this is the first wave of the set, so it's got a little extra bump to deal with. Does the turn in all that little chunk, was able to center himself over the board, and then just free falls all the way down. And then there's that section. Oh, jeez. There's no easy way to hit it. But look at this. That was not an easy section to do that type of move. The big layback snap compresses in the lip, and then all that chop holds him up, but he centers himself over the board, and hello, elevator drop. That's like amazing. Splash Mountain.
Just became part of the lip. That must have looked incredible from the water.
And somehow hangs on, too. I mean, that was pure skill. You know, he knew what he did. As soon as he was able to kind of stop all the speed, here we go. The angle in the water. And stuck right there and just gets chucked with the lip to add the dramatics. You can qualify. I mean, if you look at this turn again, Sonny S, that layback front hand snap, forehand snap, that is very similar. But I mean, this is the hardest part where he gets stuck there. He could have easily bailed out, but he stuck with it, persevered, and hangs on.
Here we go, Owen Wright having a look at his first ride here in the fourth round. Drives up into this first section. Couple of bumps to deal with there. Let's see what he can do with this hunk of wall. A better move, but still no high impact moves. That's a better turn. And he opts not to finish this one off. Might be trying to punch his way back.
How to do those turns through the bump.
Julian Wilson up now. Fades back for one of those beautiful committed bottom turns. And he gets a good section of water here. Nice green wall to play with. And tries to rebound off the foam there, just squeezing the moves in wherever he can, but unable to ride out of that one. Freestone up again now out the back. So plenty of waves being ridden here, and Jack again goes to that layback jam and gets a really tidy floating re-entry over the closeout. That should be one of the better waves of this heat so far. Numbers coming through for all three surfers.
Well, you saw the smoothness of Jack's wave there. It was the third wave of the set. He just kind of carved through it. Let's watch Owen Wright first here. And again, so this is that wave, just has so much chop on the face. There's no way to set a rail. I mean, even on the bottom turns, he had the same problem. It starts to smooth out here on the inside, and that's where his best turn, right here. But he does well with those shock absorbers. He's able to do what he could with it, and he puts up a reasonable number. Much smoother wave here for Julian. You know, he cuts this turn really short just so he can get right back up again. And that was the move he needed to do. It just didn't have enough time. See those compressed bottom turns. He extends out of it, compresses again. Such great technique. We saw the same turn this morning. Beautiful arc. Just goes right next to the whitewash. Matter of fact, he uses the whitewater to actually push back towards the shoulder. That's the turn that kept him going down the line, and that allowed him to get there nice and early. And all of this stuff you need to do, you need to read it, and it's all spontaneity, but it's also taking other experiences. You've been riding these waves, you've been riding the boards, you know what they're going to feel like, but it's more, you just see it happening, and then you got to execute it. But there's that turn, but he doesn't go completely committed and stomp the tail further because he knows that he can keep the speed by doing that. Straight to the bottom, and look how early he gets there. He can just glide it this time. He almost sets it up there. It's going to be the best number of this exchange.
Really good read at the end there for Jack Freestone. I thought that first turn, though, and keeping that down the line momentum was committed. It was definitely, he got into the bowl before he unleashed that move. As we cut back to live action now, you can see Owen Wright looking for his second solid score. He had a 6.43 on his opener. And he does a great job once again of plugging that end section with a solid move and riding clear of the foam.
You know, he's in that position or that rhythm where he gets priority
turns. But Jack Freestone on this occasion, he's just looking a little swifter at the moment. He got an 8.9 on his last wave, so Owen needs a pretty big number here, Pete.
As he comes around the corner again, you're right, he's got such good pace. You know, and I think that that's very similar to what we talked about, the fact that he's absorbing all that bump, and he hides it underneath. Whereas you see Jack Freestone's accelerating out of those turns.
His approach to those first turns at the moment really is coming up under the lip. But here's Julian Wilson on a bigger looking wave, and there is a big first turn to get started on this ride. Throws his board up for the float, but you can see there, just lost contact with the equipment up on the roof. And now Freestone's out the back having a look. A great opportunity to move further ahead here by dropping a 6.1 out of his scoreline. Decent first turn, bit of foam on the face. Just setting up this inside now. A neat floating re-entry, bit of a tail drop, so made it look a little more exciting than maybe it was, but still.
You end up having that really tricky section, but if you can get outside of that section, your end maneuvers can be a lot better. How is that carved? It's too bad that Julian wasn't able to glide up and over there.
So true. I think that definitely if Julian executes that second turn, he's probably looking at a score in the 8-point range as well. So a close lead unfolding here.
Look at this section, though. Look how smooth this one is. Arcs it. And that section, you know, that 5 feet of section is super steep. It's 90 degrees. And that's a committed section. That's a critical, hard section to do a turn like that and carry a bunch of speed through it. So that was that timing off the bottom. He chose it perfectly. You know, this section that Jack gets is definitely not as steep, right? So, and it's a little bit smaller wave. You can see it's maybe only the top 2.5, 3 feet is going to be that vertical section. So a distinct difference in the criticalness of those sections, especially that first section. I mean, you can take a look at this slow-mo here. In the same section, you know, it's that very spot that he has to hit it comparatively to Julian's is definitely not as vertical. You know, it's a little less vertical, so he's able to execute the turn a little easier. It's a smaller wave, of course. So those are those subtle differences. It's very similar styled turns, but there'll be a distinct difference in the score of those turns. Freestone's
really good too. So I think watching these guys and Jack Freestone, as you see right here, looking like he's having a blast out here. Big hack off the top. Are you kidding me? Looking solid right now with the heat lead. Coming to the inside, sweeps it back for the setup. We'll see if he's got some more action as it comes to the inside, and he's out. Woo, there's some more waves. Owen Wright, take it away, boys.
Owen Wright, a little caught behind from the opening stages, but he just times this first hit beautifully. A solid turn right under the lid. And he's going to drive up into it again and drifts the fins. Can he hang on to it? He's in there somewhere. And surely he's done enough to show that he had control riding out of that maneuver.
You know, it's a beautiful wave from behind, gets his priority. It gets a little bit of time to get here, but look at how smooth that section is. Hooks it underneath. Judges were digging that, especially the backhand. You're able to kind of go more vertical, but this turn here where he gets the drift, we have not seen that kind of move yet on that end section, and to hold on, again, wow factor. How does he stay on his feet? So those shock absorbers, he's able to just sit there and just claw his toes over the rails and lay back and not fall. Just so steady. And, you know, Jack's wave had all that bump on it. It's good surfing. You know, I think that he's going to, you know, maybe improve slightly, but I just don't think he's going to go into the excellent range. I may be wrong, but I do believe as he kicks out here, he doesn't have a finish.
9.17, and he's going again. So now looking to get rid of an 8.27 to put up some huge numbers here. Never looks rushed, takes his time, and doesn't commit to riding out of that one. I mean, even on the Gold Coast, he was surfing so smart. But to pull through the back of the wave and get yourself to the takeoff zone. Here goes Julian Wilson trying to fight his way into a position to have a run at the lead in the later stages. Solid first turn. His face is reasonably clean, and he's looking for something big here, driving up into the section. Banks off it, but just couldn't get out in front of that whitewater.
Maybe get to your belly and go prone, but the judge is not going to like that. You know, good size set wave here, beautiful arcs that we've seen from Julian, 2 in a row, but needed the finish to find an excellent score. You know, and he knew he needed to hit it pretty hard, and which he tries to do, but this, all of that monsters, whatever you want to keep calling it, it just is impossible to ride out. Look at that compressed bottom turn. We talk about how solid it is. See how much separation he has between him and the whitewater? That shows how much further out into the flats he's actually doing his bottom turns. It gives him so much time to figure out where he wants to do his turn. There's nobody that separates himself that much from the whitewater on tour. This time he knows that he wants to fit 2 more turns in, so he loads that bottom up turn up much quicker, much tighter to the whitewash, because he's going to be able to finish this turn and go for the final move, because you need to get there so early. He's almost anticipating that final move beforehand. And he did everything he can here to try and move forward, but at this point, I was shaking my head going, I'm sorry, Julian, you are very good, but it'll be very difficult to get through that.
So Julian's still struggling to break that combination at the moment, and there is not a lot of time left, only 3.5 minutes to go. And it might just be a battle between Freestone and Wright out there at the moment. Here goes Jack now in that blue jersey, slicing off the top, and needs something big now at the end of this ride to turn it into that 8.55 to get himself into the lead. Just didn't really feel like he ever properly connected with any of those sections.
No, I absolutely agree. I think once he gets back out there, as we watch the replay here, and you know, this first section looked like it had opportunity. You know, he kind of let up just on the carve, and then there, no real second move. You know, he kind of hesitated before he got there, and then the final section he does tap it, but just didn't feel like there was enough there to really change the score. He gets here into round 4, and he's making it happen.
Owen Wright using priority to finish this heat off. The heat coming to an end. He's just cruising his way through to the inside now. The job has been done. An 8.27, a 9.17, a heat score total of 17.44. One of the largest of this contest. The 3rd highest heat score total of the event.
So it's neat to see. I mean, it's truly, you know, we talk about, you know, how amazing the performance was in our first event, but here he is backing it up, doing it again.
And being tested really mentally as well as physically.